What is happening at Gaming Dude here, and Sony has cancelled 2 PlayStation live service games that were being made among the first party studios, specifically Ben Studio and more importantly Bluepoint Games, because we've been wondering for a long ass time what has Bluepoint been working on, and ultimately we have not known for a while, and now we kind of may have some idea as to what that could be. But before I get into the details, just wanted to say, hey, if you like my videos, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, doing all of that, and also commenting below. Doing all of that really helps the channel, and it helps elevate my videos in the algorithm. Now, with all that being said though, let's actually talk about what's going on. So Sony has cancelled 2 unannounced live service games under its PlayStation banner. So what's happened is that a Sony spokesperson confirmed the cancellations to Bloomberg, saying that the games were cancelled after a recent review. New titles were being made at US-based Sony subsidiaries Ben Studio and Bluepoint Games. Now, a couple of very important things to note here. Bluepoint did make the exceptionally well received Demon Souls remake that we got at the start of the PlayStation 5 generation, and of course we were always wondering what is Bluepoint working on next, and apparently it was going to be an original IP as it was reported before, but unfortunately nothing official had ever truly been announced, and so Bluepoint was always a massive question mark as to what they're working on. And when it comes to Ben Studios, unfortunately Ben Studios just hasn't had a killer game that has come out that's really exploded their popularity in the PlayStation zeitgeist. Though they're more specifically known as the guys who made the Siphon Filter games, but also Days Gone. Again, Days Gone wasn't like an explosion or an eruption of quality necessarily, and was actually quite poorly received for the most part. So it's unfortunate to see these sorts of things happen, and unfortunately with cancellations, sometimes you can't help but think that there might very well be some amount of layoffs going on, potential studio closures, because when a company has worked on a game for long enough, eventually because of the cost of those titles, there might be some cost that needs to be paid in the form of a body count regarding letting people go. So Ben Studio is based in Oregon, acquired in the 2000s, worked on Days Gone. Yeah, I pretty much just kind of covered that. Also, Bluepoint did do some support work on Titanfall and God of War Ragnarok. Didn't actually know that, but while they're highly accomplished teams, they were working on live service titles, and I think it's fair to say that Sony is very much shifting away from that. Even though Helldivers 2 was a massive success, I feel like the loss that was incurred as a result of Concord. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. The loss incurred by Concord really just didn't inspire confidence. And it's interesting to think, but all the live services that currently exist and are making tons of money are only doing that because they've survived. But there are many games that don't actually survive, so I feel like there's a heavy amount of survivorship bias that is actually occurring here that we're seeing, because like you can chase a golden goose as long as you want, because we know that live services are absolute money makers, but they're only money makers because they've managed to survive the length of time that they have. If they weren't particularly successful initially, then maybe they might have been let go, or if they weren't first to the punch either. So there's that aspect to it as well. But I feel like it's really worth keeping in mind what's actually mentioned here in this final paragraph here. In 2023, Sony said it would only release 6 games by 2025 fiscal year, keeping in mind that originally it was going to be 12 games. The fate of the other planned 6 titles was uncertain. Now we know that 2 of the 12 games have been cancelled, and it cancelled the hero game Concord 2 weeks after its launch, and also The Last of Us live service title. So those 2 were shuttered in addition to the 2 games that are worked on here. So at least of the 12 titles, 4 of them are gone burgers. 2, and then one that did release was Helldivers. So who knows what the fate of the rest of them were going to be. But the fact that one of them was going to be a live service God of War title is insane to think about, because there's no reason for God of War to be a live service title. Did we learn nothing from God of War Ascension, among other things? So I really don't think that that's such a great idea. On top of which, last year 900 PlayStation Studios employees were laid off also with the shuttering of London studio, which was very much a very experimental studio, working a lot with VR and doing a lot of interesting and innovative things. Unfortunately, they were not long for this world because they didn't make a ton of money, and that is of course part of why obviously we don't have Japan Studios anymore, and instead we only have the remnants of what was left in the term of Studio Asobi. But you know, they made a banger ass title last year, so it really does make me wonder why it really just doesn't feel like it was worth losing the creativity around Japan Studios in order to make money in the short term. It really just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, high budget AAA titles have faced big obstacles in the past few years. The gaming industry on the whole has endured widespread mass layoffs, and a number of studios have been shut down. Netflix shut down its AAA game studio, focusing on AI generated gaming instead, and the same thing could easily be said for Elon Musk trying to create like an X specific AI generated game studio for some reason. And Microsoft shut down 2 of its smallest studios last year. I'll never forget what happened to Hi-Fi Rush developer, of course. This week, Microsoft confirmed to PC Mag delaying off more staff in its gaming division, but that the number is very small. Who knows how small that will actually be? Only the future will really be able to tell. But with all of that being said, however, this is really a sad, sucky situation as a whole in terms of layoffs. However, the cancellation of those 2 live services may actually be more of a positive reflection of the direction that PlayStation is going into now that they're kind of leaving the live service gravy train behind. At least I really do hope that that is the case. But with all that being said, however, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you like to, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. With all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.